I feel like social media has played a role in this, because we now have this like connected consciousness of like a whole country or the whole planet, where we can pick up on an idea, share it, and like virtue signal it rapidly into existence, into where we all go, yeah, that's right, yeah. Like a whole country can do it. And you think about, if you go back hundreds of years before the advent of the internet, if the king of the land or whatever, the politician, had said something, we couldn't sort of get together in the same way and form our own opinion as this, like, because I think about Twitter as this one brain, and one day it will say, you know, same-sex marriage is great, and that idea can very quickly become adopted, because you can get that idea to like a billion people and basically vote it into existence using like, you know, likes and retweets and a couple of influencers. And so
So I would have said that 10 years ago, what you just said. I would have had that optimistic view. I think the evidence since then has gotten, you're definitely right. One of the good things about social media is geographical distance feels much more collapsed, and we feel much closer to the whole world.
And ideas are spreading.
Yeah, and ideas. But if you look at the mechanisms by which those ideas spread, this is not inherent to social media. This is inherent to the current business model of social media. So if you look at my friend Tristan Harris, who you should totally interview, has done a really important work on this. He was a Google engineer who saw what was happening inside Google and spoke out. So if you look at how these ideas spread, so we're tempted to think of it as a neutral playing field, right? So here's a good idea, gay marriage, psychedelics help depression, whatever it might be. Enters this level playing field. Some people like it. It spreads. It grows. Right now, sometimes that happens, of course. But if you look at, so these business models are premised. The business model of YouTube, Twitter, Facebook is all premised on: you pick up your phone now, you scroll through Twitter, you scroll through Facebook. The longer you are scrolling, the more money Facebook makes, obviously, because of both exposure to adverts and because they're learning more about you every time you do anything. So their business model is premised: every time you put down your phone, it's a disaster for them. And every time you carry on scrolling, it's great for them. So they've designed very complex algorithms to figure out what keeps you scrolling, what keeps everyone who walks past this building scrolling. And it turns out, because of the quirky human beings that we can talk about why if you want, things that make you angry will keep you scrolling longer than things that outrage and anger you will keep you scrolling longer than things that make you feel good. If you see something that makes you feel good, it makes you want to go and be out in the real world. If you see something that makes you angry, you want to keep scrolling, you want to express your rage, right? If it's enraging, it's engaging. So although that's not the goal of YouTube and Facebook, they want you to be angry, their algorithms have figured out angering and enraging content keeps people scrolling longer. Therefore, although it's not the intention of the designers, the practical effect of these apps is they are designed to make the algorithms function in such a way that they will feed you things that make you angry and upset. So this thing that you thought was a level playing field, right? Oh, good ideas will prevail, bad ideas will die out, is not right. Actually, in the main, it will select for things that make people angry. So you look at the NYU study, if you look at the figures for the 2016 US presidential election, I think the figure was 19 out of the 20 most shared stories on Facebook were lies, like actual lies, like Donald Trump was endorsed by the Pope, right? Which was not true. In fact, the Pope criticized Donald Trump. So you see, we're in if you think about InfoWars, the disgusting filth, this guy, Alex Jones, who is a cynic, not even a lunatic, a cynic who says things like, the Sandy Hook massacre didn't happen. The parents are liars. They're crisis actors. So you think about, how many children it was, 26, I think, were murdered at school. And he unleashes a mob against these parents whose children have been murdered, where those parents have had to move loads of times because they are hounded by his supporters, threatening to kill their surviving children. It's hard for me to imagine a more evil thing. InfoWars, in the 2016 election, more InfoWars stories were shared on Facebook in the world than the entire New York Times, Washington Post, Guardian, and BBC combined. So you think about this landscape that is enraging people. So it's not... Now, you don't have to have a business model like that. Social media doesn't have to work that way, right? You can have all the good things about social media, the collapsing of social distance, the connection of the world. Without that, if you have a different business model, we can talk about that another time. And Tristan talks about that brilliantly. But so I get what you're saying, and I understand there's a truth in what you're saying, which is we can hear ideas more readily, but
there's a cost.
Well, it's not just there's a cost. There'll be a cost in any model, but actually we're communicating through a poisoned mechanism that doesn't promote the spread of good ideas, that actually promotes the spread of false and hateful ideas. And we've got to fix that as well as, so then we can have all the joys of connection without this, InfoWars bullshit or other forms of
I completely
disaster.
agree. And I